I'm the wife telling stories about other men. In 2009, I moved to New York City, and as part of the many initiation rituals you have to go through to become a New Yorker, you have to figure out the subway system, which is a lot of fun and incredibly stressful, and you end up going to the wrong place all the time. But I was going to do it, and I was going to do it well. And that's how I felt about all my goals about moving to New York. And one of those goals for moving to New York was I was going to date more. I had been living in Utah, and I just couldn't find a lot of people to date. And I thought, oh, New York City, I'll have more things in common with people there. It's like, weird people. Especially on the subways. So the connection was made in my mind, like I can do both of these at the same time. I can figure out the subways and I can get dates. When I told my roommates this plan, they were horrified. I had no idea why. I thought it was brilliant. The first time that I got a date on public transit, it actually wasn't on the subway. It was on the Staten Island ferry, like going back and forth. And this was my first month in the city, and I was clearly not a New Yorker yet because I was way too excited about everything. And that included the Staten Island ferry, and I was on it, and I was like taking pictures, Statue of Liberty, and trying to do that whole like take a picture of myself thing. And it's just like my camera wasn't working. It's weird. And suddenly this guy goes, "Oh, how about I take a picture for you, and I can send it to you. You can give me your email." Which, looking back, is a pretty clever way to get someone's email address. And so we started talking, and he was really nice, and he was actually a Pakistani fighter pilot in town for like training or something. And he said I'd like to go on a date with you, but my superiors would look down on that, so we have to wait until they leave the country. So what are you doing on Thursday? So I was like, I'm free. So he said, let's meet at Times Square, which was, I'm trying to be like a New Yorker. I was like, well, okay, if you want to. And so we met there, and then we did actually, he was like, oh, Applebee's, I love Applebee's. So that's when I knew, Pakistani fighter pilot, that's pretty cool. Thinking Applebee's is awesome is not cool. I gotta find another subway date. My second experience getting a date on the subways was not a success, and it was not initiated by me. Another rare thing on the subways is children. So whenever there's a child on the subway, you try and play with them and make funny faces and stuff like that. And I noticed this man who was looking at me making faces at this little girl, and he was like the stereotype of like a weird flasher New York City man. Like he was wearing sunglasses in the subway, and he had a trench coat, and you're just like, ooh, why are you trying to make eyes at me? And luckily I was getting off the subway right then, and I did, and I hear this voice right in my ear that's like, are you stalking me? And I turn around, and it's the guy, and I'm like, no, this is my stop. So then I speed out trying to do my New Yorker walk, but he's right on my heels, and he's like, sometimes people have this connection, physical, spiritual, sexual, and I'm just like, okay, keep walking. And he's like, and then he says, what's your sign? And I'm just, at this point, I'm like, really seriously, okay, can you be more of a stereotype, really? I really have to to go now. And luckily my train came right then, and I jumped on. It's like, see you later. So that was my warning sign that not everyone that you meet on the subway is a good idea to try and date. So at that point, I realized I was going to have to be a lot more subtle. I couldn't just, be friendly with people. I'd have to resort to giving intense stares across the subway train at people I found attractive. And you'll be surprised to know that this is actually a very effective method. Probably a week or so later, I saw this tall, dark, handsome stranger on the train, and he's doodling on a sketch pad, so I knew he was an artist, which is like bonus points. And so I stare intensely at him, kind of like trying to do like the Zoolander face, but also like Bambi eyes at the same time. Couple subway stops, he gets up and he comes over and he sits down next to me, and I was like, yes. And he says to me, I knew that if I didn't come over and talk to you, I'd be missing out on a great opportunity. And I said, yes. And so he then said, do you want to go get coffee? And I said, sure, but where? And he's like, it's New York. We'll just get off in the next subway stop. There's going to be a Starbucks there or whatever. So we go and we get off. But it just wasn't working out. It was, we just talked about religion too much, and it was weird. He was very Roman Catholic. He was from Italy, and I'm Mormon, and it's just like a little bit of clash of cultures. And it's like, well, this was really fun, and we exchanged business cards, and got back up on the subway and kept going. So another strike against me. But a couple of days later, I was walking down my street on the way to the subway, which almost counts. And I see this man go past, and he's carrying a guitar, great musician. That's like as many bonus points as an artist. And I lived in, and he's very attractive black man, very tall and strong and well dressed. He had like one of those like newsboy caps on, and I was just like, yes. So I'm trying to do my like stare thing again, very much like he was walking the other way, so it was kind of like over my shoulder. And then I figured out he lived on my street because we passed each other probably like 2 or 3 times a week. And so I just had to keep waiting until we got on the same train because he was going to get off at my stop, so he was bound to get on the same train as me. And it was my last week in New York, and I'd given up hope pretty much. I just wasn't going to meet this tall, dark, handsome stranger, musician. And one night I was on the train really late with some of my roommates. It was probably like 2 a.m. or something like that, and the train was just awful, like everyone's drunk and it's annoying. And I turn around and I see him down the train in the same car as me, and so I do my stare again, like, and he sees me and he's like, he points at me, he says, come here. So I'm like, okay. I was like halfway through conversation with my roommate, and she turns back around and suddenly I'm gone, and oh no, the subway's got another one. So we exchanged numbers, and I was really excited. We did live on the same street. He lived like a block down from me. This was going to be perfect. But the only times he called me was like way too late at night, not a good time. No one's doing anything good at that kind of time if they're calling you. So once again, my valiant attempts at dating on the subways didn't work, but I still wholeheartedly endorse them as a great way to save gas and meet people. And you never know what's going to happen.